Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and you see an extra $436,000 deposited into your bank account. That looks a little bit like what happened for one of Wizo Media's clients. With over the past year, we helped them surpass the 1 million mark in generated revenue over a single year, making them officially a 7-figure brand. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you exactly how we took them from a 6 to a 7-figure brand and how we were able to generate them a 73% increase in revenue over the past 12 months. My name is Justin and I'm the founder of Wizo Media, an e-commerce marketing agency specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. Before we get started, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, as well as turn on post notifications to be one of the first to know about these cutting edge e-commerce marketing tips posted on the channel every week. All right, so let's get into it. Here's how we made it happen, how we generated that client an extra $436,000 in the past year. So as you can see right there, over the past 12 months from April 20th, 2021 to April 20th, 2022, which funnily enough marks exactly on our 1-year anniversary of working with them. The first ads that we ever did for that client were on April 20th of 2021. They surpassed for the first time ever the $1 million mark. Again, whatever other dates you would look at in the past, actually, if you looked at a year, from a certain point in the past year to a certain date in the current year, they never surpassed that mark. So that said, as you can see, it was a 73% increase in revenue. It was a 61% increase in online store sessions, which the discrepancy between the both kind of tells you that there was essentially more nurturing done with their current audience over the past year, which made each customer worth a little more. Average order value went up by 11%, which is great, and a 56% increase in total order volume. You can clearly see the big spike that we had with them during the Black Friday period, but every single month prior to that, I think with the exception of 2 months, we were above actually the prior month, if you compare that to the year before. So in total revenue attributed back to us, essentially to Wizo Media, and that again is post iOS 14 for the most part, so probably a couple missing attributions in there. There's about $436,000 that is being attributed back to us. The bulk of that coming from ads, as you can see on the left. On the left, basically, is all that was invested into ads over that period of time. There's $39,000 put into ads that brought back $323,000 and a little over $110,000 that was generated from Klaviyo from somewhere around the end of September of 2021 all the way up to now. Now, how we made it happen. You're probably curious to know, how did we make this much of an increase in revenue? How are we responsible for basically 44% of this brand's whole revenue? So before working with us, that brand, it was mostly all organic. They did an amazing job at creating a very tight-knit community. This is, again, as an e-commerce founder, this should be your main focus. It's creating an audience that is so core, so tight together. Again, it all comes down to the brand. The stronger your brand, essentially, the better, longevity you'll have with your business. So most sales came from organic engagement on Facebook. It was almost like they had a Facebook group, but it was their Facebook page. They grew their Facebook page to over 100,000 likes, and people had their own interactions and discussions in the comments of their posts. And again, it was very beautiful to see when we started working with them how tight-knit their audience was. Instagram, though, funnily enough, was very new. Again, even in 2021, this brand was capitalizing on Facebook. Just to tell you that Facebook definitely is not dead. It depends on the market that you're in, but their main channel and their main social media platform and presence was on Facebook. They started Instagram with a theme page around, a similar theme to their brand, as well as their branded page. So they wanted to grow both of these accounts over the past year. It was a pretty small portion of their traffic. At the time, also literally no email and SMS automations. It was sometimes email campaigns during promotions and a few boosted posts here and there, primarily on Facebook. You can see the Shopify sales attributed to marketing number. Again, usually a little lower, or actually much lower than it actually is in reality. It's probably a third usually of what ends up really being right. but still can kind of show you that, you know, it was a very low amount of sales being attributed back to marketing before, you know, working with us. So first 3 months obviously were a little bit tricky at first, just because, again, you're gonna see in a second, we got them great results. I'm saying tricky because there was a lot to do. This was just like a brand new e-commerce business. They had literally no pixel data. The pixel had to be fed, had to be created. The conversions API also had to be installed. Back then, you know, we came in with that client a little bit before the iOS 14 update. So we actually saw all 3 steps, you know, of grief, if you may, during that period. We started with them before that period. We were in the trenches right in the middle of iOS 14 when it hit. And then now, you know, we're still working with them post that period. So building audiences was also obviously something big. When they were boosting posts, they were only boosting posts usually to friends of Facebook likes. So it was basically friends of friends. So we had to obviously, you know, create all audiences, test ad creatives, but everything was to be tested. It was a blank canvas. Nothing was, you know, we couldn't take anything back from what was done ad-wise. It was all new. And it was also a lot about testing what would work and resonate with their audience copywriting wise, because the owner had a particular way of writing in the first person, essentially writing in the I, you know, I am going to the market, or I am doing that, and so on and so forth. So it was a lot of testing at first with the copywriting to make sure that we knew the audience resonate better with ads with the same style of copywriting that was being used organically, or could we go with something a little bit more branded / professional? And we ended up keeping kind of both styles depending on the occasions and type of ads that were being ran. So first 3 months, we spent a little over $4,000, as you can see, as there were different attribution models being used back then. Again, within those 3 months, there is part before and after iOS 14. So that kind of changes a couple of things, but you can kind of see on the right the purchase ROAS right there. Average overall is around 6 to 7x ROAS that was being consistently generated during that period. So it was all strictly on Facebook and Instagram ads that helped contribute to building their Instagram organic audience too, because people obviously are curious whenever they start seeing an ad from a brand, and they'll usually end up wanting to sniff around and take a look at the account. So we also saw an increase in organic engagements correlating with the start of ads. Then now, you know, after the first 3 months, that puts us in July. From here on out, you know, until the end of November, this is really where things got interesting. That brand, you can see on the channel, there is a video talking about the $250,000 Black Friday case study. This was about that same brand that I'm presenting about today. That brand essentially had their best month in 2020, which was the year prior to us working with them, was November. So it was during the Black Friday period. They made $100,000, and we knew that they were going to hit it big also in 2021. So we wanted to get ready, and we also wanted to test as much stuff as we possibly could to make sure that we were prepared for the big day. And we wanted to nurture their current audience and make sure that we could find extra ways to capitalize on their current resources. So we ended up in September to migrate them on Klaviyo, built all of their email flows, essentially also create an SMS opt-in on their site, because they already had a pretty good email audience from what was already registered and captured on Shopify, but SMS was basically non-existent. So we created pop-ups on the sites and forms for them to start getting more SMS opt-ins to start running SMS campaigns in the future. And we also kind of set a campaign schedule for emails for Black Friday for November. Tested out also prior to that a couple email campaigns, kind of saw, you know, what worked, what didn't. And also wanted to start scaling Facebook ads. So slowly but surely, as you saw earlier, again, it was about, you know, $4,000 spent across 3 months. So give or take, you know, about $1,000 a month, right? That was spent into ads. It was actually a little more than that. It's just because there were 2 periods in that case that the ad account was shut down for payment issues actually that ended up happening. So anyways, it was about a $50 a day ad spend. So technically that would put them at about $1,500 a month in ad spend. Now the goal was to basically spend that almost a day during November, especially during that, you know, a 3 or 4 day window that we knew they were going to hit it big. So you can now see on the right the results during that period. Again, if you remember what I just said, just, you know, as an overall business revenue, their biggest month was $100,000 that they made prior. Now, just attributed back to our efforts as an agency, you can kind of see that puts them at about $150,000 for the month. And from there was about $8,000 in ad spend, and we actually had to stop the ads 10 days early. We had to stop the ads very, very early. They ran out not only of inventory, but also they had so many orders coming in that they were not able to actually pack up the orders in time and ship them. So now it was more of a fulfillment issue, which they hired temporary workers to help them speed up the fulfillment process. And not only that, but that also allowed them to grow their in-house team, which I know that they kept some of these people afterwards to actually, again, just speed up the fulfillment process in the future. They never expected to have this much revenue. And honestly, we didn't either. We knew we were gonna get an increase in the year prior. To that extent, not really. So they ended up making over $300,000 in that month, which they basically tripled their best months prior to that. So as you can see, again, just from ads and marketing efforts on, again, the channels that Wizo Media was responsible for, which were Facebook, Instagram, as well as Klaviyo during that time, was $150,000 in revenue generated for that brand. And basically to this day, in 2022 so far, we're doing amazing. We're exceeding expectations again this year. We're almost at $300,000 in sale so far again for the year, which you can see a comparison to the year prior. We're actually basically above every single month of the year by far, especially February and March. Big months for them last year, we're looking around $40,000 to $50,000. We're getting closer to $80,000 to $90,000 this year in terms of, you know, just sort of their big successful months like they had in February, March, and are looking to have also now by the end of April. There's one more day left in April, so we'll see where that puts us essentially by the end of the day, as they have a promotion for Mother's Day. So that might put us over the $100,000. I doubt it. I think we'll be very close. But nonetheless, you know, at this current run rate without a Black Friday coming up, we're looking to be at around $900,000 in sale by the end of the year. Again, we know Black Friday is basically the bulk of their year is done during that single month. So we're expecting a huge increase again this year during that month, especially as we're going to be much more prepared than we were last year. They're going to have a lot more inventory. We're already starting to move inventory to get ready for that time of the year. Again, already talking about it in April. And now we're exploring new channels with this client across the next few months. We're going to be expanding to Google, TikTok. We've also talked about Pinterest, and those all channels for ads. Essentially, the goal is to create an even more solid ad strategy, so that in September, when we'll be actually planning out the strategy for Black Friday, we'll be in a position where we'll have tested many more channels and can actually create more of a holistic solution for them and help them surpass again the $300,000 that we helped them generate last year. So all in all, it's been a great past 12 months for this brand. Again, they transitioned from a 6 to 7-figure brand. We were responsible for about 44% or so of that revenue over the past year, and are looking forward to new ways again this year to explore for that brand. So I'll be sharing more of our experiences and successes and even maybe learnings with this brand throughout the year. I'm pretty confident, again, we'll find some new winning channels for that brand. The goal, again, is to expand, diversify the ad strategy, not be stuck to a single ad channel. Now, if you're an e-commerce brand or store owner making at least $20,000 to $30,000 a month with your brand, I invite you to click on the first link in the description down below to book in a very short 15-minute demo call with our team. On that call, we'll take a look at your brand, see if you're a good fit for our e-commerce marketing program. If that's the case, then we'll end up helping you scale with numbers like these in the next couple of months. If not, worst comes to worst, you'll leave with a free action plan to implement on your own. On that note, make sure you check out other videos on the channel, like the one I mentioned earlier, where I'm talking about the case study breakdown for Black Friday for this specific brand, or other videos that you'll see right now on screen. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.